Welcome to Well, That Just Happened. I'm your host, Cody Spence.
And I'm your co-host, Mark Hawk.
This is a podcast about, do you want to tell them, Mark?
Yeah, so this is a podcast that takes a look at news stories from around the world.
Some that shock us, some that have us asking what just happened, and some that we just found interesting.
So if you like the show, please subscribe and leave a review.
We're on YouTube and any other podcast platform.
And with that being said, all that's left is, let's see what's happening this season. Alright, so this week, guess what I got for you?
Something from Florida.
Another Florida man!
Alright.
This one wears a F the police shirt to court and wins his case.
What?
Yeah. So, he wore the shirt to work and he won his case. Like, what happened was he was given a ticket by a cop who he encountered that night, and it said that the cops were kicking people from the side of the highway when he was asked by an officer to leave. And he told him it was public property and all that, and they tried to get him for, like, disturbing the peace and all that. Yeah. And, so he said, all right, to the cop, I'll see you in court. So then, he showed up to court wearing an F the police shirt, and then, he won his case.
Wow.
I mean, basically, they just went, like, on a back and forth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's not, like, a whole lot of details about it, but, that's ballsy.
That is very ballsy.
Because you would think, I mean, when I say F the police, it didn't just say F.
Yeah, I get
it. So,
But do you think, like, when this individual strutted into court, I mean, they were just wide open, just showing, like, just strutting it for everyone.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's making a bold statement.
That's a level of commitment.
Oh, yeah. You're just going in there saying, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
So, I definitely wouldn't do it myself.
Oh, God, no.
I would probably be paranoid that, that would not end well for me. Because in most of those situations, like, the judge is going to go against you, the cops are going to go against you, and I mean, rightfully so when you're wearing that shirt to court.
Do you think, though, like, as a judge, and you see your defendant wearing that shirt, you just go, oh my God.
I mean, you kind of got to laugh. But then it's like, I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, like I can't.
Does this guy know his stuff? Because, I mean, that's a bold statement to wear right in court.
No, I can't imagine not snickering in that kind of a scenario.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I get you're trying to be the judge, you got to drop the law and all that kind of stuff, but you're not. I wouldn't be expecting that. Most of the time when you think about court, people show up in, like, dress shirts and nice clothes. Not, profanity towards the police force? I don't know. but still.
I definitely think in that situation, it's definitely not recommended, because in most cases, that's not going to go your way.
Oh, God, no.
But I do know a lot of people nowadays are doing that, videotaping everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. To me, that's too ballsy. I'm not going to do it.
No.
So, all right, next one I have, Louisiana troopers. Dad sleeps while an 8-year-old drives.
What?
Yeah. So, police say Billy Joe Madden slept in the passenger seat while his 8-year-old son drove. So he was intoxicated when Louisiana State Police determined he took a snooze while his 8-year-old took the wheel. He allegedly told police he was letting his son drive while the family traveled between Mississippi and Texas. The boy was doing the speed limit, 70 miles an hour.
Oh, my God. That is a child.
And he did pull over when police turned the lights on.
Well, he got something right.
And, the father was intoxicated. And, not only that, he didn't just have a son drive, but he also had a 4-year-old daughter in the back.
Oh.
And he was only 28 years old. And of course, the children been handed over to Child Protective Services.
Thankfully, holy crap!
And then it said, at about 6:30 a.m., the vehicle, somebody called in and said it was driving erratically, and then a child appeared to be behind the wheel.
6:30 a.m.
Yes.
What?
And his bond was set at $1,474. That's pretty specific.
What?
Yeah, it's 6:30 a.m. They were on a...
Explain to me this scenario. How, at 6:30 a.m., you got a drunk dude in the passenger seat, you got an 8-year-old driving, and you got a 4-year-old in the back.
Okay, so basically, they were on a trip, and they were going, long distance, and the guy was intoxicated. So he...
How?
He was drunk.
I get that, but you're going on a trip. It's a family trip. We're going to go a couple states over. When do you stop off to get a little too
I don't think he stopped. I think he had it and was drinking while he was driving. And then when he got too drunk and tired, he was just like, hey, kid, you don't have to drive. At that point, you're going to stop over. Dude, you're going to get a hotel. You're going to do something.
Hotel rest area. Don't put that on an 8-year-old.
He put it on an 8-year-old to drive. And I just think that it's... I don't know. I don't understand. How you put that on your 8-year-old to drive you cross country. And then...
maybe it's just because, just the way that I think, but I feel like being intoxicated and if you're in that passenger seat and you wake up and the lights are roaring around you, you look at the mirror and you go, what did you do? Completely blame the kid for you having a kid drive.
Oh, I know. Well, here's another one. Washington dad sentenced for half-naked meth-fueled drive. So, he had fake breasts, no pants, and a heavy foot. He was going over 100 miles an hour down a Seattle highway with his 2 daughters in the back. And, of course, he got a DUI, his third one. He was only 31. And his kids were 6 and 4. I don't know, man. What's with the fake breasts?
The whole headline to me was the part that I'm the most confused about is why?
I don't understand it either. It just said he found him dressed in a lady's blouse and he was going over 100 miles an hour and he was on meth. Had a 6 and a 4-year-old in the back. Just, again, there's 2 stories in a row where a dad just got all messed up and was like, hey, let's go on a trip. I don't know what's worse. Having your 8-year-old sober kid drive or you being all methed out going over 100 miles an hour?
I think definitely the methed out's the worst one.
Okay. Yeah, because at least the 8-year-old was sober.
Yeah, so...
But he was also going 70 miles an hour. So, I don't know. Wow. My kid is 18, and I don't like when he goes over 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. Wow.
I can't imagine my 8-year-old. And they said the speed limit, I don't know if his dad taught him how to run the cruise control. So they said he was going the speed limit, just going, he was a little erratic, but you're 8. You can't really see that well over the steering wheel. But I don't get the fake breasts, the woman's blouse, and all that.
I don't get it either.
And obviously, kid's taken away yet again.
Yeah. So, just in a scenario like that, I feel like it's kind of part, if they walk up, just go, what is going on here?
Okay, imagine you're that cop. You walk up to the car, you're about to ask for license and registration, and you see a dude with fake breasts in a woman's blouse and you can tell he's mapped out of his mind.
Yeah.
And then you see two kids in the back.
I don't know. I don't know. Like that's very complicated. But so you just did your stories, and I know we're doing the season finale right now, so I'm gonna jump right into mine.
Okay.
All right. So the one story that I've been holding off this whole season, just because this to me, it's not even like it's really funny. It's not really sad. It's not anything. It's just kind of like, why? Okay, baby boy is named Gahan. His parents explain why. The reason that sounded like gibberish is because literally it looks like somebody just went to the keyboard and just tapped some random keys, and that's the child's name. I will show you. That is the birth certificate.
Wow! What? Oh my God! Wow!
Yeah. So for everyone listening, the name is GLHYNNYLHYLRYRZ, or no, excuse me, YZZYGHYL. What the heck does that spell?
Is that first name?
No, that was the whole name. Okay.
What about the last name?
No, that was the whole.
Oh wow.
The whole name. That's the whole first name. I will break it down to what it's supposed to say.
Okay.
So a newborn baby in Carmen, North Cotabato? I don't know. Took the internet by storm when Nitons tried but failed to correctly read the boy's name. What I just read to you guys, M. Boscato. So yeah, that's all the first name. Last name, Boscato.
I'm definitely paying for a name change. If I'm that kid, when I'm like old enough to do so, I'm not leaving it that.
So they, the parents, they were happy parents. They posted the photo of the birth certificate, put it on Facebook. In 2 days, it got 48,000 shares. And they weren't.
They weren't doing it because they liked it. That's
all right.
Sure.
So they actually went through and they provided a breakdown of how this name is supposed to be pronounced. So it is Glenell is the GHLYNNYL. That's Glenell. That's after the mother. Hold on, let me rephrase it. They took the mother, father, and grandmother, broke their names down, and used letters from each one to make this name. So Glenell is the first part. Haler is the second part, which is the HYLHYR, and that is after the father. The last part is Zihil, and that is the nephew's name, the grandfather's name, and the father's name all wrapped together.
Dude, you just messed that kid up for elementary school.
Right? But yeah, so most of the 27,000 Facebook users who reacted to this post just did like, haha, funny, because it's sad, but it's funny.
It is. But I feel bad for that kid.
Oh, absolutely.
That's going to be horrible. Like, you're going to have to put a pen in that kid's hand, too, and teach.
Okay, so the one thing about this article that they did do was they had a psychologist take a look at, like, what's this going to do to this kid? And pretty much the psychologist said, in school, for example, teachers will have a difficulty saying your child's name and would likely suggest that you use a nickname, which is going to cause the child to lose their identity. The parents can empower the letters, that's what I'm going to refer to the name as, letters, to be confident about his name, but maybe calling him by his real name so that it can be normalized in the household. But that's the gist of what I wanted to talk about. Like, wow, that was just one of those things, like,
crazy.
Like, I remember being a kid, and when you joked around about naming your kids, you were like, "Oh, I name them this." Like, I wanted to name my kid Chlamydia for the longest time because I thought it would be funny. I was like, "It's a nice sounding name."
Yeah.
But you do that stuff jokingly. These people went to the extreme, and yeah, they broke it down to how they wanted it to be. But come on,
That poor kid. Like I said, elementary school. Like, they're gonna get made fun of.
Kids are dicks.
Oh, they're gonna have a hard time doing anything with that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
You might as well just say, "Hey, that kid."
Yeah. Basically, that is nuts.
And so I know we have a special thing that we want to do for this episode, so I'm gonna just do one more story.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever walked like on a street and just thought, "You would suck if something fell on me right now"?
Yeah, I actually have.
What like when you think of that, like what are something that you
Like a tree branch or something like that.
what about a Jeep?
What? I would never think that.
Alright,
Unless you're walking on
No, this is just
overpass.
the actual street, just walking down the block.
Oh, I wouldn't think that.
Taxi lands on Jeep in Long Eaton after swerving to avoid a cat. Alright, so this took place over in England. A taxi and a cat had a lucky escape after a driver swerved to avoid the animal. So in Derbyshire, police were called to the scene at Shakespeare Street in Long Eaton at about 3:55 in the morning on Monday. Twitter response unit said the taxi was parked on top of a Jeep. So what had happened was, without going into reading the whole article, there was like a parking garage set up, and somebody was going to leave, and a cat kind of ran out. So they claimed they swerved to miss out, and they popped off over the guardrail. And when they did, they ended up landing on a parked car that nobody was in on the street below.
So lucky that nobody was in it, but I'm not saying that, like, I don't know. I'm not an animal lover, but I mean, even if you are, if you're gonna go over often, oh wow, that's crazy. I would just hit the cat. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not swerving out of the way when I'm on the second story or something. There, it's not happening.
I ain't swerving.
No,
I don't care if it's a
no.
baby.
Okay.
I am not falling off a damn parking garage for anyone.
Wow.
Just saying. That's, yeah, like, you should have been watching your cat, kid, whatever.
But yeah, because I know, like, I'd walk down the block and I'm like, it'd be really, messed up if, like, somebody threw something out, like, their window and, like, it fell onto me, or as you're walking by and, like a traffic light falls down or something like that when you're going across the crosswalk.
I always wonder or worry about, like, walking under overpasses.
Oh, yeah.
There's all that weight on there, and, I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah, as you're walking, you hear above you, you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's because that's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah.
Like, I always think about that, being crushed or trapped.
I think about that stuff, like, when I'm driving down the road, and, like, it's a kind of a windy day to begin with, and a semi goes by, and you feel all that wind kind of push you off to the side, and, like, this is how I die.
But see, what I think of, it would be the worst way to go, is like if your car is like crushed and you're trapped, like you kind of duck down under your seat to like avoid getting decapitated, and then the top of the car gets crushed and you're pinned and trapped under there. Like, fuck that, just decapitate me. Yeah.
I got a lot of fears when it comes to that kind of crap.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, now we are going to lead into the last wrap-up of Season 1.
Yeah.
In our weekly wrap-up, we discuss some of our personal opinions and ideas. So let's see what we thought this week.
Okay. Alright, Cody. Now with this being the end of Season 1, what is like your top 3 stories that you can think of that you've done this season?
Alright, so my top 3 it's the one I'm always going to go back to, and maybe I'm jaded by saying it, is the dude with the debit card. That is by far the dumbest thing I think I have ever heard of. Not only did he know the person, they recognized him. He left his debit card with his name at the crime scene.
And the lady recognized him.
Yeah, that's the part that baffles me the most, is when you're committing a crime, one of the things you want to do is not get caught. So you don't leave behind evidence to make you recognizable. But he gave all of that. I mean, you can take that debit card, you can go to the bank and just say, hey, I'm investigating this case, this person was, this was left at the crime scene, I need to know who this is. You're going to get from your bank, you're going to get name, address, phone number, age, family members. Like, you're going to get all this personal information. So pretty much the bank at that point is, oh, here's the dude. And
I mean, basically.
Like, it's just one of those things where that's one of the ones that is going to stand out to me just because the level of, and if I'm not mistaken, we've done so many stories, wasn't that over like earrings or a watch or something? It was some necklace. Piece of jewelry. Yeah, some piece of jewelry.
She wore every day.
Yeah. Just, oh my god. So that one to me is one of my favorites that we had covered. Another favorite that we did, I would have to say, would be I really did like the boxing glove that I had where the woman who went to the school she went to the school to pick her daughter up and somehow ended up fighting a kid, but she showed up to the school wearing a boxing glove that
was glued to her.
Yeah, when she's asked about it, she's like, "Oh, it's super glued to my hand." That is not a good excuse. So that one's one of my favorites too, because like as a parent, a lot of the times we would do anything for our kids, but there's a line you just don't cross.
That's very true.
And again, the whole story, her child provoked that fight in the cafeteria, and then she just jumped in.
Yeah. I mean, what's a parent to do?
And then, for my last top story, I'd say I'm going to have to go with one that you did. And the main reason that I'm going to pick this story as one of my top favorites is because I don't like snakes.
Oh.
I don't like snakes, period.
Yeah.
And I can honestly tell you, after we recorded that episode where you talked about that woman getting eaten by, 24 foot?
23 foot.
20 foot python. I had a nightmare that night. Like, no. I don't like snakes.
Yeah, I don't either. I guess I don't mind them as much as spiders.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, so my favorites, they're from the earlier episodes, but I think that makes them stand out to me the most is because those ones I could find like a personal kind of attachment to in a way. Like, the debit card thing, I use my debit card all the time. I very rarely do I use cash. I can't imagine committing a crime with my debit card. Snakes, I'm absolutely terrified of them. And like I said when you read that story, that is my nightmare. And like the other one with the boxing glove thing, as a parent, like I don't want to let bullying for my kids slide, but also at the same time, like you gotta kind of let them be themselves. But I'm not going to go to the extent of beating down another child. At some point, you got to be like, all right, you got to figure this out. But the one thing about that article that I remember that really stood out to me a lot was the fact that they had to put in the article that they weren't related. Like that I just remember that being a detail. I was like, why is this here?
That's true. That is very true.
So what about you? What would you say your favorites are?
I would have to say... one of my favorites is definitely, I don't know, it's between the Mr. Hands, getting anally killed by a horse. That one, I guess it ties with the lady who got humped to death by her camel. So that, and... That's
a PSA in its own. You don't have sex with animals, they'll kill you.
Yeah, well, especially big. Well, I mean, the lady didn't want it. The guy did. That's why I say it kind of ties. Cause, he did it on purpose. I mean, the camel just wanted her. I mean, it just knocked her down and did it until she was dead. Like, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
I would say another one is one of the dumbest things where I believe in that episode you said masturbation in public's normal. When the kids had sex with a sandwich, that stands out to me. It is one of the craziest things you have said. So that's why that stands out to me. That story.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Okay. And then, honestly, one of the latest stories we did, the guy paying the $500 to a wizard to make him invisible to rob banks.
That's like a whole nother level. Like, I mean, we've had. I mean, think of all the stories that we've had. We've had drug addicts. We've had, sex criminals. We've had all these other things. But some dude. I mean, we had the one story of the woman who hit a kid and then claimed she was Harry Potter. So, do you not see, as a wrap up of the whole season, there are themes with these criminals?
And speaking of which, when we talk about themes, the breaking in and eating, like thieving and eating, and the sex, in a couple stories, like, I just kind of want to know what that's all about. I think we should do a little research into the psychological things and maybe touch on it in season 2, just as a kind of, hey, we looked into this.
Yeah. Like, I'm perfectly for that, because like I said when we made the trailer for this show, it's an epidemic.
It is.
And it's a recurring theme with all these different things. Okay, so, like, if you take anything away from this show, I guess the best thing that I can ask is, do not think it's a good idea to commit a crime and either have sex at that crime scene, eat food at that crime scene, commit the crime.
I guess that's first.
Yeah, that should be first and foremost. Just don't do that. But if you are gonna do something like that, please
try not to leave your DNA behind. That's kind of a big deal these days. I mean, no matter what you try, you're not going to get away with it. It just doesn't work.
No, and the amazing part is, like, we had stories like the dude with the sausage thing, 20 years later, busted.
Oh yeah, and that's so nuts to me how you do that. And then another thing, as we have recently learned, just don't get all drugged out and drive your kids around, or don't let your kid drive you around while you're intoxicated. Because, like, I'm wondering, because I know if, like, a driver on a permit is with a drunk driver, they get a DUI. And
what?
Yeah.
Like, the sober one gets a DUI?
Yeah, because the licensed driver is drunk. So in that situation, I don't think they're going to charge an 8-year-old because he's just doing what his dad said. But
that doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, you're not supposed to get in the car and drive with an intoxicated driver when you don't have a license.
That just that doesn't seem right. Well, I mean, I guess I can understand it to a point, but also at the same time, like,
if you're being a responsible one?
Yeah, if one of my parents is at the bar and they're plastered and I only have my permit, they say, like, hey, I need a ride. They're being responsible and asking for a ride. And or what if you went to the bar with them and they had too many cocktails with dinner and you're like, all right, well, we got to get home. I can drive us, not legally. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's a gray area. But yeah, you had mentioned about setting up for season 2, which that'll be coming soon. And so one thing that we did want to do with our finale is we wanted to thank everyone for listening, and thanks everyone for watching, and for all the reviews, the subscriptions, the listens. We greatly appreciate all of it. And one thing we also want to say is that we are going to continue to try to improve the show. One thing we're looking at for season 2 is increasing sound quality.
Another thing we want to do is kind of try to involve you guys, if you would.
Yeah.
Send us stories that are kind of out there, that are right in our wheelhouse, that you might want us to hear and, like, share with other people. Like, The more messed up, the better, as far as I say.
Yeah, it can be from anywhere. And, if you use someone into the show and it makes it on, then we will give you a shout out and, just do whatever we can. Kind of go full circle with it.
We're going to keep trying to improve. We would really appreciate, people listening, subscribing, giving feedback. It's always important to know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong.
Yeah. And I guess all that's left to say is that's what happened for season 1.
Yeah. And, by the way, another PSA. If you can tell Cody why it's wrong to masturbate in public, I'd appreciate that too.
Since then, Mark. Well, that just happened.
If you like what you heard, tune in next week to see what else we find.
Also, please leave a review, a like, and subscribe.
If there's something you think is interesting and would like us to address, then reach out to the show and let us know.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much anywhere you want to reach us.
And with that being said, this concludes our episode of Well, That Just Happened.